Okay, guys, let's get right into this. I am testing a different microphone now, which is the LM251 style warm audio. Let me know what you think if it's good, if it sounds strong, if you like it, or if you're like, this doesn't really sound good with you. Because we have to figure out what the future of this voice is going to sound like on live sessions. So, with that said, we are now live. There are some basic fundamental rules that you have to follow with this, keeping in mind that you're giving me a short question, a short legal question. I can't know all the facts to give you all the details. So rule number one, you got to use a fake name throughout this process. You cannot use your real name. Rule number two, you get about 5 to 7 minutes. So if you're thinking that I want to answer something for a very extended period, I don't. We have to get a lot of people in here to answer questions as quickly as I can. If you need more time for me to answer a question, and it's not something where I can be hired to go ahead and work the claim, build it, and win it, you can always hire me for a private hour. There's a link in the description, or you can just email the law firm at info@disabilityresolution.com. We send you the mini contract. It's for an hour, costs $250, and then we put you on my hearing calendar. Next thing, okay, you cannot go into story mode. Very important. Do not go into story mode. Start out the conversation with what your legal question is. Now, what do you do to be part of this? You have to dial 407. I'm going to put it in here real quick. 407-279 1754. Okay, super duper. Yeah. So the moderator already got it. She's on top of it. Very, very cool. Excellent work. So bottom line is this. We're going to wait for the first caller to call in, because keep in mind, I usually do this on Facebook, but I like doing them on YouTube because YouTube just makes more sense. It's easier to work with. It works better in general. It's just a better gigaroo to go with. Now, with that said, normally we have a ton of people calling in. I see Kathleen Fulton. Howdy from New Jersey. I'm going to be up in New Jersey in not too long. With that said, let me see if there's any callers. If there are no immediate callers, which never really happens much, what I'd like to do is start answering questions of people that pop up in the chat section on the right side. So, do you guys have any legal questions for disability benefits, supplemental security income, or Social Security disability insurance benefits that you would like answered from the chat section? Go ahead. And while you're doing that, I'm going to take a little moment. We'll relax a little bit while we're waiting for the first caller to come in. All right, first question. Bradley Van Zyl. When does Social Security stop reviews after being approved? Usually around 63-ish. That's where I see a lot of the cutoffs happening. They can still do them after that for SSDI benefits anyways until you hit, your full retirement age, which is, of course, 66-ish, 67-ish. But usually around 63, it's not worth the money to go after you because there's only so many years left that you'll be on SSDI benefits. So, and the likelihood that you'll grid out is so incredibly high that it's just really, really unlikely that they're going to continue to go ahead and follow you around, do investigations, etc. Now, with that said, the Biden administration has continued forth, improved upon, and increased the amount of investigations against the disabled when it comes to, how many individuals are investigating people, and all that jazz. So the bottom line is they took what Commissioner Saul did and they kept it going. So the point is, and they were required to reach new heights and keep adding more hubs and stuff like that. Because, remember, there's the CDI units. That's like the big thing where most of them are in the capitals of each state, not all of them. And then, basically some of them have hubs. And there's even CDI units outside of the country now. They're in the possessions, Puerto Rico, things like that. They even have one in Europe. So anyways, point is, and I think this is incredibly important, but now remember that if they don't have a CDI unit or hub in your state or your country of origin, and you're like a dual citizenship person and you're no longer in the country, they're not gonna they expect you to come back to the U.S. to go ahead and hit you with an overpayment usually. So that's the game. They'll talk to you and say you need to come in and talk to us here, but otherwise we're not going to talk to you. So that's kind of what they played with a few claimants that I've spoken with who have CDRs. Next question. Court at 10 a.m. I'm sitting here sobbing because I don't have a lawyer. Danny ICURN, far to get my daughter's money reinstated when she turned 18, only had it 2 months. They'll reinstate it, but now they're taking some overpayment back. I don't understand. She got 2 checks. Well, how much is the overpayment amount for? What was the reasoning for the overpayment? What happened there? Give me some meat on that one. What other questions do you guys have? This might be an early night for me. This might be a super early night where I just go ahead and have to go get a burger. I mean, we'll see what's going on here. And then take some magical diet pills that suck the fat out of it so that I can feel like I did a good workout. With that said, let's see what other questions we have. Let's see. I see a sad face from Danny ICU. Okay, gotcha. That is so crazy that is the phone broken? I don't know if the phone's not broken. We're just not getting a lot of calls. Is it the microphone? You don't like the microphone? What's going on? I guess we're going to be ending tonight a little bit early. Let's see. Chow shows. Let's see what this is. 2 days away from 3 months waiting on child benefits. Child's benefits. Most people said 3 months usually to get them. Has to wait. Time gone up. Is that a good? Okay, hold on. So we get the first call here. Here we go. Let's get this rolling. All right, speaker is on. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. What is your legal question? Go ahead. That is such a weird first. Tonight is not going as it's supposed to. Here we go. And we are now on speaker. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. What is your legal question? Go ahead.
I just want to ask. My name is Terry.
Sure.
I just want to ask this question. I get SSI, and I have bought they gave me my back pay because I was waiting for a long time. And they gave me my back pay, and I end up like maybe 6 months, 8 months or something, I bought a car. Okay. And so the car, after I had the car for maybe, I think like a year and a half, the car conked out. I mean, it was too much to fix. So I sold the car to pick apart.
Okay.
$723.
Okay.
So anyway, Social Security asked me what happened to the car, you know. So I told them, I said, I ended up selling the car.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, okay, we have to take that money back from you because you sold the car. You didn't buy another car. Because they asked me what I did with the car, and I said, I paid some bills. Okay, why did they do that? They took $703 from me out of my Social Security.
Are you sure it wasn't? Are you SSI or SSDI?
SSI.
Yeah. So if you're SSI, you're allowed that, you know, so you have the $2,000 resource limit, and, you know, basically you're allowed to have one car that doesn't count. But the bottom line is, when you went to go pay those bills, were those bills related to your impairments in any way and potentially deductible?
The bills was because I had to, when you have to wait, so I was using my credit card. So I said, okay, you know, so let me just pay the credit card. And so, they penalized me for selling that car. But they told me my limit, I could keep $2,000. But, you know, I can have $2,000. But what don't make sense to me is, regardless if I sold the car and paid my bills, why did they take that $700 from me? I don't understand. That don't make sense to me. Because I talked to the lady and said, but that don't make sense. Okay, you said I can have $2,000. I can have saved. But this is less than $2,000, so why am I being penalized?
Because remember, you had income because you made a sale, and now they're reducing, because every $2 you earn over, you know, like your 60 plus or 65 plus 20, so 85 buckaroos. Every $2 you earn above that, they take away $1 away. They take $1 away. So you got hit with an overpayment because they already paid you for certain months in the month that you sold the car. So my question to you is, what on the credit card was, you know, that you spent money on is a deductible disability expense?
Yeah, because I had bought a hand wrist thing, and I have to buy other little stuff that I needed for like the wrap and all the other little stuff I had bought. But it didn't equal up to $700. And then, of course, you know, I bought food and other stuff with the money, of course. But I didn't know that they could do that to me. I didn't know that if I sold that car, she did say if I would have bought another car, they wouldn't have penalized me. She did say that part. She did say that.
Yeah, because when you roll it over into another car or buying a house or whatever, and you're allowed to have that one of those items or whatever, they're not going to penalize you. But the kicker here is you need to go through that credit card for the past couple of months where it accrued and was high, and pull out all the things that were deductible, and then go back to them and complete an SSA 632 requesting review based off of those items that were purchased that should have been deductible.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I got to do that. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. That's what I wanted to know.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Sounds good. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot, Disability Resolution PA. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. Also, what is your legal question? Go ahead.
Hi, Walter. My question is, it's a timeline question. I applied for SSDI in June of 2023.
Okay.
And I was denied for the reconsideration. So I applied for the appeal in June. Started reviewing your case. He did the medical part, and then the 17th of January, he started reviewing the case.
Okay.
And then I just found out that I have, we did the hearing, the appeal. So my hearing date is June 5th. And my question is, I'm hearing so many people having to wait like a long time to get a hearing date.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound like it's going to be something like more on the favorable side, you think? It just seems like it's really soon. I just filed the appeal in January, and early March, I got my hearing date, which is June 5th of this year.
So you probably fell into one of the expedited categories. Are you a veteran?
No, I'm 51. I called him before. I'm 51. I'm worked as a nurse for years.
So,
and I
go ahead.
Have a caregiver.
Yeah.
You know, the state, I'm in Missouri, so I have a caregiver who comes and helps me out 7 days a week for 3 hours and 45 minutes. I don't know if they looked at that and pushed it. I just was seeing so many people saying they have to wait for a hearing date once they do their appeal, and mine came in less than 2 months or 2 months.
They might have went ahead and applied you under the DRND for dire need. They might have went ahead and applied you under the CAL, compassionate allowance listing. Do you have any like terminal illness, impairments or anything like that, or no?
So it's all like the mental health stuff, PTSD, the one from when I lost my husband to COVID in November, and then I was just in a car accident. So I had surgery on my foot. I'm going to have surgery on my knee this coming Friday. I have the back, multiple pinched nerves in the back. What is it? Cervical radiculopathy.
Radiculopathy, yeah.
As well as multiple bulging discs. I had the steroid shot in my back in January, and they're going to do it again in June.
Okay. Gotcha. I mean, it's one of these things where I'd have to review the entire case file to see what the physicians are saying about it. But that is super duper fast. It could be one of those things where you have something red tagged in your file at the top, so they're just pushing it to the top. I have some claimants where they are marked for expedited status when they don't fall into an expedited status allowance. So this might be a mistake on their side where they're just pushing it through. It might be something where you meet a higher level standard of care they're trying to get you through. Remember, the SSA does not want claimants to pass away while waiting for disability benefits because it's like 10,000 plus and growing that die every single year waiting for disability benefits. So they worry about that. The other thing too is that as you go through this in preparation for this, make sure that you're ready to answer. When it comes to these questions, make sure you're ready to answer things about housing, because that's the DRND thing. Compassionate allowance listings are your most severe impairment, basically limiting you to being bedbound, things like that. And then, terminal illness, if it was one of those, which doesn't sound like, then it would be, what's the timeline based off of what the doctors are prescribing. It could be any one of those, but you're very lucky to be able to be in front of the judge that quickly. Just don't waste that opportunity, because if you get denied and have to go to appeals counsel, it could slow down real fast.
Okay, that was what I was wondering. Does it look like it's a good sign that it came so fast? Because I was shocked. And also, so I have an attorney, and I know it's good to prep for these hearings. And so the date he gave me, the hearing is June 5th, and the date is May 26th when he wanted to discuss everything. Does that sound like it's way off? Because I thought it would be more close, not so close to the hearing date. So it's May 26th, and I have to schedule a phone conversation through the paralegal. So does it seem like it's kind of close to the hearing date?
Well, I mean, let me ask you this. What are they expecting of you prior to, so you have your hearing date. This prior event that you're doing, what are they saying that you have to do with it?
Wait, which event?
So you said that there's 2 events, right? There's the hearing date. That's where you're going to do a telephonic, video telephonic, or in-person hearing. And then what's the other thing?
Yes. Oh, the other thing is just when the lawyer wants to talk to me, I get to prep for the hearing.
Oh, well, so, I mean, you want to run prep. So, okay, so when you run prep, you want to run prep, if you were to do it perfectly in my book, 3 months ahead of time, a month and a half ahead of time, and then twice right before it, whether that's 2 days before it, the night before, 3 days before it, whatever. And so what I like to do is I do, when I first get them on board, right? When we first sign them up, top 5 impairments, when did each become severe? When did each become, when did each begin? When did each become severe? Then we get into, what are your 2 side effects / signs for each impairment? What are your medications and side effects? What are the jobs you've had within the past 15 years and what functions at those jobs can you no longer perform? We go through all of that. That's like intro number 1. Intro number 2, we start to run the basics when it comes to, at-home functions, cooking, cleaning, laundry, paying bills, getting dressed, waking up on time, doing hygiene-related functions, buying groceries, interacting with the community, neighbors and stuff. So that's more about that one. Then number 3, where we're getting close to the hearing, then I start to throw in the speed, so go ahead and state your name for the record. What is your current age, date of birth, and you're left or right-handed? Okay. Why did you file for disability benefits today? We start to go through more of the common questions that the judges will use and some of the specific questions that judge will actually use. And then the final one that I usually do with the claimants is I beat the hell out of them when it comes to tough questions in front of the judge. And so what I usually do is I'll go in and, I'll use trick questions. I'll piss them off. I'll get them crying. And I'll get them to the point where they just feel like distracted, hopeless, all that stuff. But I tell them ahead of time, this is the direction that it's going to go. So when you feel like this at the end, that's what you're supposed to feel like, because I need you to be prepared for what it feels like when the judge gets angry and starts getting mad with you, and starts getting hostile towards you. What a lot of people don't realize is that disability judges take a very almost like criminal law approach to this stuff to try and catch statements like, oh, what were you doing on that ladder on the 4th? So it's one of those things where that's the style I like to use. But just different disability attorneys use different styles. My style costs too much for the law firm to do it. So other law firms take a no approach to it, or one talk before the hearing and they just tell them to tell the truth. I don't find that that's conducive to winning. So I like to do the thing that wins. But I will tell you, the attorney's fees are so low that it's just my style of doing this type of law it doesn't work anymore. It's just financially too expensive. But I'm continuing forward. I'm doing it, but it's always one of those things where I look at this and I go okay, they're either going to raise attorney's fees, or basically this field is just going to start to empty.
That's what I was afraid of. I feel like I really don't have an attorney because I want to meet. I haven't spoken to him since the hearing was filed.
Gotcha.
If I want to speak to him, I have to call and make a phone appointment.
Gotcha.
And so I felt like May 26th is too close to June 6th to only have one conversation. So then I called him back, and now May or 2 weeks from now, I get to speak to him. And, I didn't say what it was for. I just said I was requesting to speak to him, so they had to make their appointment. Sure. I just feel like I won't be prepared with just that one conversation, and I've never spoken to him. It's always the paralegals.
So what you're experiencing, is not uncommon. That is what usually happens with these disability law firms. I do it differently. It's far too expensive the way I do it. So I don't even know what the future holds for whatever. I have to change my way of doing it because it's too expensive. I haven't figured out what that means yet. Getting things more digital, less paper, stuff like that. But, to be fair, if we take one moment to just think about this, the number one screw up in this whole thing that can just destroy the claim is the claimant. The attorney isn't going to do the wrong thing usually, right? That's a rarity. The SSA local field office people, they have less training. The judges aren't going to usually do the wrong thing. That's a rarity. So what it really comes down to is the claimant. And so from my perspective, there's a lot of important things, but the testimony of the claimant is incredibly important because when they're sitting in the hearing and then all of a sudden they're talking about some running event that they want to do, some cycling event that they want to do, some Harley event that they want to do, or some cruise that they just got back from, and people are always like, and they always say to me, they're like, oh, come on, that doesn't really mean that, or blah, 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 and I can still do that. And I'm sitting there, I'm just thinking to myself, like, I think that they don't have a direct connection with reality on this, because the reality is that it's just, it's too, sometimes when the claimants talk, it's very risky. And I, like many people, hold my breath when they're giving testimony. If I get at least 4 shots to kind of, get their testimony rolling in the right direction, I know I feel better. But just to be clear, I have a lot of anxiety when we go in front of judges, not for what the judge is going to say. I already know which way they roll, what they're going to do, the games they play, all that stuff. I've got that. I know the judge. There's some judges where I hate going in front of them because they always end up yelling, whether it's at me, the claimant, the vocational expert, they're just always yelling. And that's not the way I would personally hold court. It's just not the way that I would do it. But they do it that way. I think it's disrespectful. I don't think it's necessary in this type of law to be that hyper aggressive. It's just not something that I would personally do. They do it. I have at the bottom of my list of basically things that, I know. And, I literally have at the bottom of a little phrase that says all judges can be like babies. Just ignore it and keep moving forward, and I have like different versions of that phrase. But
I remember you said that.
Yeah, and I have that there for a reason, because when I get really mad, and keep in mind, I live in the area where I live directly as a result of one particular judge who I just had recently, and she's very similar to Judge Judy. She's very similar to Judge Judy, but she pissed me off so much, so many times. One time really bad. I went to the coast, and I literally rented a jet ski over the weekend. It was a Friday that I had the hearing. I was pissed off. Saturday, I went to the coast and rented the jet ski. Never been on a jet ski. Rented the jet ski. Changed my life. Went back again. Rented a boat, like one of those like little crappy 18-foot with a shitty outboard on the back kind of boat. And and now I live over there. And that's what changed my life. Her aggressive hatred, sort of attacky kind of feelings. Now, with that said, I got to tell you, she's hyper bright. She's extremely bright. She's got the whole system memorized to some degree. She's got this giant book that it's like a giant, like 3-ring, whatever, that she constantly updates with changes in law and stuff like that. She is an incredible judge. She's just mean, And so I know a lot of disability attorneys that when they know that she's going to be the judge on file, that literally they will not take the hearing. They just won't do it. They don't want it. They don't want to have to deal with it. They don't want to feel basically, just squashed down. And my thing is this, she gives fair decisions, except there's one big thing I don't like, which is that if it's not in the record, she just automatically discredits any potential of it. And when it comes to getting a CE and the reliance on the CE doctors, when it comes to getting all of the potential impairments, I think she gives a little bit too much credit to the potential of the CE doctors getting all of them. And they don't. Like CE doctors, you're in and out in 15 to 20 minutes, unless it's a mental, maybe a little bit longer. Yeah. So and then her argument, of course, would be, you've had all these years to get doctors to work on this particular thing. Yeah, but sometimes the clients are liars. Sometimes the clients don't even think about it. And to be fair, when claimants are females or women, and it comes to PTSD stuff about what happened when they were a kid, you got to basically get out the box knife and cut open a lot of boxes and slash a bunch of walls just to get to the information for them to talk about in the first place. So, it's like, it's one of those situations where, to be fair, when I look at this, I say to myself, okay, it is what it is, what do we do now? So, it's a tough situation. It's always evolving. And I don't know what the future of this industry is going to be, but I do know this. There's a lot of cool, talented attorneys in it. There's also some of the most shiesty people I would not trust to watch my car. And my car is a piece of shit. It is a beat up Prius that I love. That's my little blueberry. But, I wouldn't trust them to watch my car. I wouldn't, it's, for many reasons. The lithium battery might have a whoops. You never know when it's going to. So, but yeah, anyways, that's kind of the reality of it. But, if you can talk with your attorney about who the judge is, what are the types of rulings? Are they fair? What's their percentage? Yeah.
I looked at the judge up, and the winning percentage is 80% favorable.
All right, what's the judge's name?
With, Wallace, I think Wallis. Oh, what's the last name? I want to say the last name is Wallace.
Is it William Wallace or Sandra Wallace?
Yeah.
It's William Wallace?
William, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so
William.
high percent passage rate judge, usually in the 50 to 60% passage rate, does a lot of cases, continuous repetitive high passage rate, above kind of the standards that you would normally expect for current Biden era percentage for national average. So mostly does essentially cases approved and cases denied. Cases dismissed isn't too particularly high. Outputs a lot of claims. 2020 did essentially total dispositions of 338, total decisions of 281. So we're talking about a high fly hour kind of judge, a judge that flies a lot kind of gig where they're doing a ton of hearings. So this is a good judge to have. With that said, just make sure that you're prepped and your story is straight, because the best way to screw up a high percent passage rate judge is to get caught in something that makes you look disingenuous, even if you're telling the truth.
Gotcha. Okay. And this law firm, this is all they do is disability. They don't do any other type of legal things, just disability.
Good.
And
yeah.
so I guess I'm kind of first. My appointment is at 9:45, so maybe they won't be so tired or grumpy when it's my turn, because it's earlier in the day at 9:45.
Well, 9:45, you got to keep in mind, is usually they'll usually have a hearing at like 8:15 to 9 to 9:45, 9:45 to something else. You might be the second hearing, the third hearing of the day. You're not too super close to lunch. So it all depends on what the judge wants to do. And that judge has been doing this a long time. Older judges do earlier hearings usually, and then they get out of the hearing office usually around 2 or 3-ish, and then they go do their thing, and then blah blah blah. So the point is, and another thing too is when you answer the questions, just answer the question. All right, let me. Now we're going way too. We're at 17 minutes, and part of that was my fault because I was just jibber jabbering. Yeah, but I'll do this next week. Call in. We'll run some questions, or actually Thursday. Call in. We'll run some hearing questions. We'll see how you're doing.
Okay. Are you on here or Facebook Thursday?
I'm going to be on YouTube. I just like going on YouTube better, and we're testing mics, so I'm just making sure all the tech works and everything. But just catch up with me on YouTube on Thursday, and then we'll go from there. All right.
Okay, I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam.
So much time.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay, excellent. We're going to get the next caller on the phone shortly. Just remember, guys, to please like and subscribe to this channel. And if I do help you out with a phone call, please consider going to Google and typing in Disability Resolution Law Firm and throw in some stars up there. I always love waking up to those. We've got the next caller on the phone. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. What is your legal question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I'm 61 years old. I fell at work, and I blew my disc in C5, C6, C7, and I had them all fused, and I've got to go probably for another surgery, but I've been off work for over a year now, and I've applied for Social Security. Is that a good thing to do before you get your workman's comp? And what are my chances at 61 of getting Social Security? I'm still having pain, and I got 2 plates, 6 screws, and 4 spacers in my neck right now. So what are my chances of getting Social Security disability?
So here's the thing. I mean, you get a potential of grid out that's pretty high with, movement limitation. For the workers' comp thing, I mean, obviously workers' comp, the whole thing is, can no longer work as a direct result of being injured on the job. Social Security disability benefits, you usually want to show some little jobs that you fail at. You work them for 3 months, you fail. Work them for 3 months, you fail. Bottom line is this. This sounds like a claim where you've got the hardware to back it and probably the ambulatory devices, crutches, canes, walkers, wheelchairs, rollators, whatever, to help with it. So this is probably a pretty high percent pass rate claim. With that said, the SSA has a lot of newly trained, newly minted employees. And, sometimes you get a tough judge, so you can't definitively go by that. But, look, get your attorney on board, get them to go through the medical evidence, see what things you need to say to the doctors to make sure that they understand the full severity of your impairments, get some RFC letters signed. You probably got a good direction.
Okay. Yeah. The other thing I forgot to mention was I've been working the same job for over 30 years, so
sure.
And I can no longer do it. I can't move my head up, down, side to side. There's no movement at all in my head.
Gotcha.
So you think I got a good chance then, huh?
Yeah, but keep in mind, remember, like at the end of the day, like I'm not looking at your file. Like if I look at your file and it reads differently than what you're saying, then I gotta and I'm famous for being very honest with people because like what are they gonna do? They can't punch me through the phone. They're not that strong, so I just remember if I were to take a look at this and see it's something other than what I thought, but so remember when you get an opinion like this, you want to have the entire medical documents and record in front of the person so that they can read. And people literally, they call me and they say, what's the deal with this? And I say, that's fine. Just send me the medical record and hire an hour and I'll go through the whole thing and tell you the pluses and minuses. But the thing is this, like if I don't read the record or at least have a general overview to skim this thing, I can't be like perfect on giving you what you need to know for me to actually like decide, okay, this is good or bad. Because remember, you might have something in there that's like a silver bullet that just kills the damn thing. It might be that you've got some criminal history that the judge doesn't like. It might be that you have this, alcohol, narcotic, whatever problem that the judge, their kid has an issue with, and there's some emotional dilemma there. I just don't know until I take a look at it. Because, I've seen claims where I've read it through it, and then I get to page 498 of one document or 943 of another document, and there it is, a predator. And then I'm thinking, you know what I mean? So, and it happens.
I have nothing.
Yeah.
I don't have anything in my record at all. I've never been to jail or anything or done anything wrong or, I work the same job. I've never really even, I don't know. I can't think of anything I've ever done bad. I don't even drink or I don't smoke or anything like that. I never did drugs till I did this. So
yeah.
And I only do what they prescribe. So
yeah,
I just was wondering what my chances are because our union hired a place. I don't want to name their name, but it's a box store that goes through our union, and and I'm just wondering, they won't tell me if I got a good chance or a bad chance. They just said, we wouldn't take your claim if we didn't think that you would win.
That's such a weird, and I know I work with a lot of people in this industry who all say the same thing. And it's like the quickest, fastest way to say, I don't know your claim, but based off of our intro thing, our new client interview form, we wouldn't have taken it unless we thought we could win it. And so all they're able to give you when they give you that is basically the lineup as to, realistically that you passed through the new client interview form and there were things on it that they liked based off of it. But beyond that, man, it's, you're not going to know. And so, remember too, with these big box, law firms, they're going to inherit this industry. They de facto are, because they don't pay enough to the disability attorneys to go ahead and do, a better job, write the briefs, know the claim, etc. So, the big box firms where they just look at this thing, right before the hearing, but for the past 3 years, there hasn't really been any communication. That is realistically, that's the future of this industry, because if they don't find a way to pay the attorneys more, the big box firms will inherit all of the smaller and mid-sized firms in disability law. So, yeah.
Well, you have to understand that, I just started looking on the internet because these big box firms, they do not do personal things like you do. And sure. I can't plug you enough for saying, hey, thank you. I've been watching all your videos and you're very helpful. But, for somebody like me that works rotating shift and has been working the same job for 30 plus years, and I don't do anything wrong, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, boom, you fall at work and your whole life's turned upside down about you. But thank you for all the videos that you've been doing, and keep continuing. I am already subscribed and everything, but I haven't lied to you a bit, so I do have a good claim is what I'm asking you.
Yeah, it feels good. I mean, it feels strong. The main thing you want to do at that law firm is call them up and ask them, what are the strengths and weaknesses of your claim, and what improvements should you be making? And improvements fall into statements to make to the doctors, types of medications to obtain, types of ambulatory devices to obtain, RFCs to obtain for the specific doctor. That's part of the gig, to figure out essentially the direction of where your claim needs to go.
Yeah, see, and they won't tell me anything. That's what I want to tell everybody is when you are with those big box firms, and it starts with a B and a B. If you probably know who I'm talking about now. But
that firm actually looked into buying my firm, but they didn't. Either they didn't have the money to do it, or they didn't think it was worth as much as it was. But yes.
Yeah, well, it's not personal. But they don't contact you at all. You're like, okay, I'm going through Social Security, and it just got over to a disability counselor right now.
Yeah.
They say, okay, you need to send this. So I send it in, and then I said, is that enough? Do I need to send any more? And then, for like 4 or 5 days, they don't answer. And then they give you these deadlines. Social Security does. It has to be in by 4 or 5 days. And you're like, well, I don't know if I'm doing this right. Like your SA 370, or what is it, 3373 form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm telling people, go with people like you.
Yeah. Well, you can switch whenever you want. I mean, you can begin that process. If you started and you're not happy and you want to pick anybody other than them, you can do that. I mean, you reserve that right. If you feel that they're not communicating with you, working on to do stuff, building the claim, then you can ask them to withdraw for rep and fees. But most law firms require that big box law firm to withdraw for rep and fees, because in the very beginning when I started doing my stuff, M&M, basically I got a lot of claims from people from them, and then I would win the claim, and then they would get a check from their, basically the fee petition. And so I decided, I don't know, it was like 4 or 5 years ago, I wasn't going to do, claims anymore where the prior law firm was still attached. But if you can prove that they didn't do something they were supposed to, properly keep in touch, communicate, complete things in a timely fashion, etc., you can go after them. You can file something with OIG, all that stuff. And it's got to be something real.
True.
Yeah. It's just got to be something that's concrete-ish, So, the other thing too is like when you, all right, so here's the thing, and we're at 9 minutes, so I keep breaking the 5 to 7 minute rule. But so okay, let me go through this real quick with you. What are your top 5 most severe disabling medical conditions?
Well, I'm still in pain, but I've got numbness in my left hand pretty bad, and my grip is weak on that side. I have severe headaches. Let's see. I don't know what else do you need?
Okay, so
because I can't move my head up or down, right or left, more than like less than 5 degrees. The PT guy is done with me. He said, I can't even touch you. I don't want to touch you because you have, other bad discs, and I don't want to blow those discs.
Sure. So the thing that I would say is this, what you've got to learn right up front is the difference between a symptom, a sign, a side effect, and a condition. So write these down real quick. And then I think it was like 5 or 6 videos ago, I did like the thing that's the most important thing to win disability benefits. Like the most important thing to win disability benefits. That video, go watch that. And I'll do an updated video that includes all those. But you've got to learn the difference between a symptom, a sign, a side effect, and a condition. Because when I said, hey, what are your top 5 most severe impairments? You should have said, okay, I've got degenerative disc disease. I've got, lumbar, spinal, whatever issues with this or that. I've got, anxiety, depression. I've got you know, the conditions, the actual medical conditions. And then if I said to you, okay, what are some symptoms? You would say, okay, I've got pain. Okay, what is a sign? Well, I've got high blood pressure. Okay, and I've got this rash. That means I've got an autoimmune problem, and blah blah blah. But another thing that they look for with your type of situation is that you're not able to lift your arms above your head bilaterally, which means both hands above your head, because almost every job in the national, you know, in the DOT, Dictionary of Occupational Titles, requires you to be able to, you know, place things above your head. So if you can get the doctors to say, hey, I can't reach my arms above my head, you know, as a result of all the hardware you have in your body, then that's going to be very helpful for a potential vocational allowance if they're not going to give you a grid out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I should qualify underneath the grid rules, though, right? I can't. My work has terminated me because our union contract is. I've been off more than a year.
Yeah, I mean, you sound like it. Yeah, you sound like you should. I just, you know, keep in mind, grid rules are a little like everybody's like, I'm it. And I'm like, yeah, but sometimes you get a vocational expert that's being snotty and they're like, yeah, I see some transferable skills. Maybe there's some direct entry into the work environment, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, you know, and I was just talking with a vocational expert because I had a hearing and I was pissed off at the VE in the hearing. So then I went to the vocational expert that's been doing this forever. And I said, this is what they said. I've never heard that. What's the deal with that? And then he sent me a bunch of articles on it that I'm actually going to do some videos on. But the point is, I felt vocationally violated. I was very upset. And so as a result, I went and whined to my buddy. I was like, what the hell is this? Give me some statistics here. And he did. He's an awesome guy. But, you know, the bottom line is like, yeah, you know, it's one of those things where the SSA's decision process gets more complex every year. It also gets more weird every year. Like the decisions that they come out with. Like when I was practicing under the title of Richard Schwartz, which was like, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, that the decisions made more sense. They made a lot more sense. So like when I was pulling files for him, setting stuff up for him, whatever, when I go out to, you know, the Italian place and have a dinner with him and he explained to me the way the world works, it worked that way. Nowadays, it's sloppy joes on Monday and, you know, didn't make sense sandwich on Sundays. It's just a different world now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of nervous. I mean, I don't have a job now, so it's like 30 years and, you know, who knows what they're going to do. That's all my lawyer firm would give me. It was what I told you. They won't tell me, yeah, you actually got a damn good case, you know. So
yeah, but remember, it's not about telling you have a good case. I mean, I know that feels good, and it's like, you know, one of those blankets that's extra fluffy, and you lay down, and you're like, man, this is some good stuff. I get that, but the fluffy blanket isn't what wins disability. Like, even if you have a good case, what you should be asking is, how do I make this a better case? You know, like. That's the point of the law firm. How do you build it to be better than it already is? That's the whole game, you know?
Right.
Yeah, so.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Good, sir. You have a wonderful, wonderful night.
Yep. You too. Thank you.
Thank you, good sir. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. Remember to go ahead and mute the computer on your end. What is your legal question? Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Kevin, and I just got approved just last month.
Okay.
And my question is, my attorney mentioned something about once I got my final payment, we'll talk about CDO. And I don't know, does CDR, is that an automatic thing after a certain amount of time that they go over things?
So you can call up the local field office and ask them when your next CDR is scheduled for. Everybody's pretty much on a timeline, you know, thing unless you get to a certain age. So yeah, there's a calendar in their system on your bio that basically says, okay, he's going to be entered into a CDR at this point. So if you just call the local field office and ask them when's my next CDR scheduled, put about 3 to 4 months before that CDR, and that's when they're going to start looking into your claim.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I have a lot of issues. But
sure.
I'm 56 right now, so I just didn't know if it's going to be years or months or what it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on your conditions. It depends on their severity. Depends on how likely they are to, be repetitive and continuous. Like if you're blind and there's no cure for the blindness, they'll check in with you every 10 years. But
mine is, mine is potentially fatal. So, it just depends on my body. So.
Sure. Well, I would call the local field office and ask them specifically when it's scheduled for, and then, you can always go ahead and call the prior attorney and ask them, hey, what should I do to bolster my claim, to continue the success story so that I don't go through a CDR and get kicked off,
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you, Walter. You do a great job, and I hope Sweetie is doing great.
Thank you, good sir. Thank you. Well, I'll catch you later. You have a wonderful, wonderful night, okay?
Sure.
Thank you, good sir. Bye-bye. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. Also, we just want to go ahead and go right to the legal question. What is your legal question? Go ahead.
Yes, I was wondering about what does grid out mean?
Oh, God, that's a huge question. That's like I did a video specifically on grid outs. Let me see if I can find it for you real quick.
I 62 with 5 back surgeries, 2 knee replacements, and a lot of issues that I hadn't worked in 3 years. But I'm finally going for my hearing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my last step. And I keep hearing you talk about grid out. I didn't know if that was due to age or what.
Well, it's due to age, it's due to work experience, due to education, due to level of work. Medium is what you're looking at with yours, because sedentary and light are part of the lesser grid outs. But let me see if I can find this video real quick, because that is like not able to be answered in 15 minutes. That's more like a 30-minute resuscitation of like how the law works, what are transferable skills, is direct entry into the work environment, all that stuff, while my phone keeps ringing. Let me see if I can find it real quick. If I can't find it, maybe somebody else in the chat would be able to find that specific video for you. Let me see what I got real quick. Hold on. Let me go through this. Let me see. There's just so many videos. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Yeah. Oh, gotcha. There's just, I have done so many videos. It's just hard for me to find the specific one. And it wasn't even that long ago. It was maybe a couple of months ago that I did that video.
Okay. And then it's kind of hard for a plumber. Plumber's what got me all this messed up. So I don't know if you met any plumbers, but they're not too apt to be fit in anywhere else.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. No doubt about it. Let's see. Okay, I'm not going to be able to find it, but because I'm doing like grid search and searches for grid outs and stuff like that. And unfortunately, I don't know how far back this particular video is. And I'm sure could be 100. Let me see if the chat section has it real quick. Anybody know where I did the that one video? Anybody have the day tomorrow calling with a quick question important? Oh, okay. So there's somebody calling with a quick question who has their hearing tomorrow. So we'll have to take that call. If they can put specifically like the last 4 of their phone number in the chat or the last 2 numbers, I'll pull that specific call. Is that the person who's calling with anonymous though? Let me know, guys, in the chat, because I see somebody keeps.
Go ahead.
Are you sure? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, good sir. But at some point, maybe email me. I'll try to find that video. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Walter.
Thank you, good sir. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. Is this the individual who has a hearing tomorrow?
No, this is not.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, well, I was trying to get that person, but that's okay. What is your legal question?
My quick question is, if I'm on SSI, like, can I get married or do I lose my SSI?
Well, you can get married, but they got to earn under like $35K per year. And there's basically a marriage penalty rule if both of you end up on SSI. And it's just most people that are on SSI never get married, right? They just never do it. So, and then they also don't hold themselves out in the community as married because then the SSA tries to say, oh, you guys are actually married, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm not planning on it. I was just wondering. But thank you very much. And I know you have another caller. So thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot, Disability Resolution PA. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. What is your legal question? Go ahead.
Hi, this is Tenebris.
Perfect. Is this the hearing tomorrow or no?
Yeah. Well, not a hearing, an evaluation.
Oh,
I've had a hearing in the past.
Yeah.
And my question is, if they do deny me and then I file an appeal, do I still draw checks now? And have insurance now? So
the way it works is the way they always do it, even though it's technically a little bit different inside the book, the way they actually do it is you get the CDR review, right? And then they decide whether or not, you're still disabled. When they do that, let's say they deny you, you have to opt in to continue to receive your benefits within 10 days. Then after that, you go into the recon period and they adjudicate you. And you basically at that point, if you get denied again, you get to keep your benefits if you appeal into the ALJ hearing level. When you go to the ALJ hearing level, once you reach the judge, then the judge, if they're going to approve you, you get to keep them. If they deny you, that's when they cut off the benefits. If you say to them, hey, I need additional time to go find an attorney to represent me, then they will still cut off the benefits and then basically, go ahead and have the hearing 3 to 4 months later. But they do that because they know if you're getting benefits, no attorney will represent you.
I've already talked to my attorney that represented me before, and she's already said it if I need to appeal.
Yeah, but the kicker is,
ask her that.
Yeah, the kicker is they won't take the claim because there's no way for them to make money on it unless basically they remove your benefits from back pay.
She told me she'd take it. It cost $3 to $6K is what she said.
So there is another option. It's called a fee petition. Pretty much no attorneys use that. And that's where they go ahead and basically, write down their hours and all that jazz. And then they wait, could be 12 months, could be 36 months for a judge to approve that. And if it's over a certain amount, it has to go to a higher level group. So the bottom line is there is another way, but nobody uses it because the wait to get paid is just way too long. And then they could reduce it. They could be like, nah, we think you should only get $1,000. And that's happened to me before. Like I'll do like all this work, write a brief, everything, supposed to get paid $10,000. Then poof, no, we're only going to pay $3,000. And I'm just like, well, I'm never doing that again. So yeah.
I figured she'd take the 6 since she highballed it there, but she took 5 out of my settlement when I got it 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but keep in mind, most disability attorneys don't go that route because it's just financially doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't get by without a paycheck. That's why I'm asking. I have nowhere to live or go.
No, I totally hear you. I totally hear you. It's a tough situation. So they need to change the SSA laws.
The paychecks won't get cut off until after the appeal process?
Well, I mean, the appeal process can go up. They'll get cut off at the ALJ hearing level once you get a denial there, if you get a denial there. But if you go to appeals council, you won't have a check during that. If you go to district court, circuit court, Supreme Court, you won't have a check through any of that.
Damn. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, good sir. You have a wonderful, wonderful night.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Real quick, 89 PWRRAM, looks like RAM, like a truck. Thank you for the $20 donation. That's absolutely amazing. I love the little pair, but you are amazing. That's super cool. Thank you. That's awesome. Very, very awesome. I'm going to take one more phone call because we're at 53 minutes and 26 seconds. Here we go. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. We are live on YouTube. Remember to use a fake name throughout this process. Now, with that said, what is your legal question? Go ahead.
Hey there, yes, sir. My name is Amy, and I have a question about the CDR. Okay, I've been through it a few times because I've been on disability for like the last 10 years. Like, this will be my 10th year, so I've done it like 2 or 3 times now.
Okay.
But something interesting happened this time. They sent it to me like October of last year. It was like, it's always October.
Mm-hmm.
And then they waited till like January, February to let me know, hey, you know, we were, you know, okay, we don't need to check up on you anymore. Or then they send you the long list, which you never want that. And So, but this time they didn't send me the long list. They just wrote back a letter saying, oh, we're sorry. At this time, we don't need to do any, I don't know how to say it like they said.
Further review.
It's not. Right. It's not right. We didn't need to do this right now. So we'll just keep all your information for a later date. What does that mean? I've never had that.
So basically what's happening is that they have an overpayment overload. They have 60,000 of 90,000, and they're supposed to have 95,000 employees. They only have around 60,000. So what this all kind of comes down to is the SSA is in a particularly shitty position. They don't have enough people.
Okay.
So if you look close enough and they buy your medical records and it looks fine enough, they're just going to hit the skip button, put you in the next round for the next review, and keep marching forward.
Okay.
They don't have enough people right now to make this thing happen. That's the problem.
Yeah. I want to make one more little statement. The previous one that I had a couple of years ago, it did require a long form, and they ended up denying me. They're like, we think you've gotten a little bit better, and I freaked out.
Yeah.
I called all my doctors, and my psychiatric doctor, you know, she wrote like, I'm like, can you help me? She's like, yes, I can. You absolutely cannot work. No, I will write a letter. You can come in and pick it up. And I mailed it into them. I made sure they got it. And then like 2 weeks later, they're like, oh, okay, yes, we appreciate your additional documents, and we do find that you are still disabled. How crazy is that? I mean, I just imagine people who just take that, oh no, you're no longer disabled, and just take it.
So,
and like, oh boy, I got to get a job.
So yeah, I mean, what you have to keep in mind is that the anxiety among disabled is at an all-time high, which is ironic because like that was the opposite of what President Biden wanted to achieve. He wanted to achieve like low anxiety with benefits and cheaper mental review care. The opposite happened. And so what's going on is that, you know, people are more reliant on their benefit than ever before because there's not as many jobs out in the national economy because it's just the economy's tanking. You know, and I always tell people, you think the grocery store is expensive, you should check out the business grocery store. Those computers are a lot more expensive. So, you know, so, but the thing is this, more and more people are aware because of like channels like this and others about appeal stages, what to do, how to build their claim, etc. But at the end of the day, what's happening is that the government wants to aggressively reduce the amount of people on Social Security disability benefits, which is why they keep changing the regulations from pro-claimant regulations to pro-SSA regulations. And also, if you look at the percentages of approval at the ALJ hearing level, you go back to the early 90s, it was like 70%. You go to you go to Obama, it was like 41, 42%. You go to Trump, it was like 44%. You go to current Biden, it's like 40 to 42%. So the reality is that, you know, it keeps becoming less and less and less likely that you'll actually be approved. So, you know, and I've seen a huge change. You know, the judges are trained now by the SSA, you know, with the SSA's logic in mind. So at the end of the day, you get judges that are much more pro-SSA, less pro-claimant. So, you know, the bottom line is that you're going to be seeing this entire industry either change to be pro-claimant or continue on the path of being pro-SSA. And the reason why is the government does not want to pay for all these disabled people. And so if you have generalized murky water definitions of disability, you can go ahead and usually get away with a lot more denials, you know, because there's no definitive line on a lot of this stuff.
Well, like 10 years ago, like I said, I've been doing this. I've been on it for 10 years. I'm 47 now. I was 36 then.
Sure.
About to be 47. That's quite young to get approved for disability. And no lawyer would take it. No lawyer. I called plenty. And they're like, how old are you? No, we're not gonna. So I just did it all by myself. Went to the the adjudication part, and she's like, "So you don't have an attorney?" I'm like, "No. Are you sure you want to continue this?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Mhm.
And she was like, okay. And I hear like that is like really like doesn't even happen anymore. Like for certain people's age, like they're like really looking at the age factor now. Like, oh, you're under 40, you're under 45. There's got to be something you can do. I mean, they even had people in there saying you could actually cut meat at a grocery store. And I said, I worked at the American Express. I worked at United Healthcare. I worked at AT&T. Never have I cut meat in a grocery store. And, you know, I don't know if you've read my psychiatric stuff, but you probably don't want to give me a knife. And everybody laughed,
Right.
which was funny because I didn't expect that to happen. But yeah, I don't know, the Lord was shining on me that day because like 2 months later, I got an approval letter. And I was just like, because I just knew I wasn't going to get it. I was going to get it, you know, not approved. But it happened. So
You know,
I guess I'm very thankful.
I mean, here's the thing that I would say about this whole situation. Okay, so most disability law firms will not take somebody that's under 50 because they binned out
Right.
the system. The people that fit in the 50 bin, the 55 bin, the 60 bin, that's what attorneys are searching for. They want approvals. And the problem is if we spend too much on a claim that's going to be a loss, then we can't pay our staff. So what's happening is, you know, at the end of the day, we don't make much to begin with. Our staff isn't getting paid what they should. The attorneys aren't getting inspired to keep taking these claims because it just pays so little. So what's happening is, unfortunately, we are much more cherry picking the claims based off of what the SSA is looking for as opposed to who's really severe. And so as a result of that, like SSI people for the most part are out. People that are seeking SSDI benefits under 50 are out. Most child-based claims for disability benefits are out. And so when you look at the statistics, disability law firms can get, you know, it's like 3 times more likelihood of getting somebody through when you have an attorney. And most people know that now. And the reason that they have to do this, right, that they're hiring these law firms to do it is because the system has become this, you know, tangled effect of laws. And then this tangled effect of cultures in the SSA, and this tangled effect of doctors being afraid to interact with people seeking disability benefits because they're afraid the government will come and take a swat at them. So it's this mess. It's this spaghetti with meatballs mess that's on the floor. And I don't know what the future is, but, you know, at some point, Americans will wake up and realize that they're in control of their government and they can start demanding things and they can start, you know, firing all the people that have been in office forever. They can start doing that, you know, but until that happens, it's just going to get worse, you know?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking my call. I was so excited to see that you were live. I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe I can call in. But I appreciate you answering all my questions. And you're great. I don't watch anybody else but you now because I just feel like I can't get a straight answer from anybody else.
You know, I watch other videos from other attorneys, and like, so there's one guy who's not an attorney, but he's like he's a medical doctor for the CD or for the MECEs. He does a good job. I mean, very monotone voice, difficult to watch for more than 5 minutes.
I think he wears the bow tie. I forget his name.
Yeah, he wears the bow tie. Yeah, and he's got like that 1970s, 80s background going on, which, you know, totally, you know, that's what you expect from those doctors. There's got to be at least some copper or bronze in it, right? So like classic, like doctor's office from the 80s. Yeah. But I like his stuff, although he's tough to watch. You know, then there's the other stuff. I made that video, and you know, there was some. I made some comments about some video titles on Blind to Billionaire. He reached out to me. I sent him an email back, you know, trying to like, you know, build him up and say, hey man, keep doing the work, keep pushing forward. Just be careful with the titles of the videos, you know, because
he does a lot of clickbaiting. I used to watch him a lot, and you know, like. Some of the stuff that kind of like turned me off from him is like SSDI, SSI, VA, you're going to get a stimulus check. I'm like, what?
Right.
And then it's like, no, nowhere ever is that. I mean, you can't even find it nowhere. He's just like, well, you know, it could happen.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh, no.
And so, you know, and that's what I said to him. I told him, I was like, look, man, we get a lot of people calling the law firm throughout the day, you know, and like, I don't have the extra cash to pay somebody to just sit there and answer whether stimulus is coming. Like I'd have to pay somebody, you know, $15 an hour to sit there and just constantly answer the phone and say, no, there's no stimulus coming. Here are the bills that are currently on the table. None of them have any likelihood of pass. You know, I have to pay somebody to answer that. So, that was kind of my email to him. I was like, keep going, keep pushing, just be careful with the titles, but, and then there's other ones, Ginsburg's in Georgia. He was the original king of disability on YouTube. I surpassed him in 2022 January, and I talk to him. I'm on good. We're good friends and stuff like that. We want each other to be successful in it. He kind of moved. He does disability, but now he's doing a lot of bankruptcy stuff as well. So, which is what his wife does. So he's kind of protecting his interests because he sees what's happening with disability, and he's doing also some of the bankruptcy stuff. And look, I know a lot of the people in the industry. When somebody tells me an attorney and I don't know their name, that's usually not somebody that's like in the industry. That's somebody who's like part of some other firm that's just doing it as like a side gig kind of gig. But it's one of those things where at the end of the day, and I get a lot of pressure too. I'm getting pressure from politicians to get rid of the law firm and go into the political spectrum because somebody with my background, obviously.
I honestly think that you could do that, and you could be quite well. You could be, think if you did that,
Here's my problem with the political spectrum thing. I can tell them what they need to pass, but they won't pass it. And I was thinking about that the other day. I get people who send me emails about, other countries, what they're doing, ideas, stuff like that. And I look at it and I toss it back and forth. I got to be honest with you. There is a solution. It's just the solution is a little painful, but after your 5 years of painful solution, you end up with something that keeps working. And, the problem is the way we have it set up right now, either the elderly are going to screw over the millennials, or basically, because that's what, they're going to stab them in the back. And I understand that's coming. I get it, or it's a situation where at the end of the day, everybody's going to be a little miserable. And that's either more taxes and lesser benefits or whatever. And, if we're really honest, like just not BSing to any degree, but just really direct.
Yeah.
This was known about in the 80s. And
of course.
Yeah. And in the 80s, they changed it from 65 to 66 to 67. So my question is, well, no, they're trying to do that. They're trying to push it to 69 to 70. But my point with this is, look, the greatest country on earth does not tell its citizens that they're going to punish them after paying their entire life into a program. I don't want to be mean here or whatever, but I come from the people in Germany where they were put into camps, and in those camps they worked the rest of their life paying into a system that screwed them over in the end. And there's a parallel here to some of that. So the way I see it is, and I know what's going on here, and that's politicians are greedy, and the billionaires that put them in their place and the chair are greedy. But look, if we're really genuinely honest about this whole situation, America the Great doesn't push retirement to 67 to 69 to 70. America the Great pushes retirement from 65 to 63, from 63 to 62,
Unfortunately, they're going to make you, they're going to work you to death to where, when you become eligible to draw, you probably only got 3 more years left in you. So you won't draw. You won't be that big of a strain on the system. And then we can make room to approve or deny somebody else.
Well, you got to remember, too, millennials can't afford to pay for the boomers. The system's going to collapse with that, right? And
all I got to say is I hope they have 401k, some CDs, and something, because, oh my gosh.
Well, I don't have a CD. I don't have a 401k. I don't have a pension. I don't have any of that. So you got to understand, like, somebody who works more hours than a 70-year-old has at my age is, without any of those backup benefits, there's a problem. And I'll tell you this. All these things that we talk about, they're cute arguments, but the problem argument is artificial intelligence and robots. Robots that can do functional tasks, artificial intelligence that can outthink a human. I mean, let's be fair about this. How useful are millennials compared to a robot with artificial intelligence that can mass produce products? How important is China going to be when we make robots that can modify, increase productivity, and make new innovative future prototypes, and then can put them into mass production inside the same manufacturing warehouse? Like,
Yeah. I get that. You know.
And then we make the robots pay tax. I mean, let's be realistic here. The robots are making it super cheap. They're offering the product super cheap. And then there's not a lot of tax to be paid because the American people don't have the money to buy it. So the only way they can make it and sell to us is super cheap.
Yes.
I mean, that's a big problem, and nobody's talking about it, and nobody wants to talk about it because we all want artificial intelligence. We don't want to have to work so hard. We don't want to have to do so much. We don't want to wear out our bodies. We want to live longer, but there's not going to be any money. That's the problem.
I know. I get that. And, you know, it's just like, you know, as far as the artificial intelligence and stuff, when you got people like, let's say, McDonald's, where there's nobody, there's no bodies in there working anymore. Right. And it's just everything is mechanical and everything is, oh, did you want a Big Mac with no pickles? Here it goes right here. Yep. And I hope it's right. I mean, but that's a whole workforce that is eliminated now. I mean, you know what I mean? There's a whole building worth of jobs eliminated. So it's like, I guess that's great for the company, but then you got a whole bunch of people out here that, what are you going to do? You ain't got a job no more because you've been replaced by a robot.
So, you know, McDonald's, you're absolutely right. Little mowers that are working off of Wi-Fi, you know, special tree trimming machines that use a laser to cut the branch at the stem. You know, all this stuff exists. We're just getting to the point where it's going to have the logic, the analysis skills, the camera skills, the audio skills. You know, look, let's be honest about this. We get rid of trucker jobs, right? Because now all of a sudden, right, that's an entire, and look, here's the worst part of it. The people who are going to need the money, who have the least money, those are the people with the least education and lowest intellectual quotients in the workforce. You get a low IQ and low money, and then they can't get even less money, you know, or lower amounts of money. All of a sudden, you've got an angry person. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you this, SSI exists, not because, you know, it's great to help disabled people. It's great to help old people over 65. It's great to help refugees and asylum seekers. SSI exists because America doesn't want a massive criminal enterprise of people that are constantly having to steal to be able to eat.
I get that. And you know what? When it comes back to my when I had to go before the judge and they were looking at all my jobs that I had and my education, I have a degree in criminal justice. And she didn't ask me anything about it, I guess, because I definitely didn't, put down any jobs that I had because at that time I hadn't had any. But I was really surprised that she didn't ask me about it. And she didn't, say, well, you're a little more educated than some, so there's got to be something out there you could do, even if it was remotely at home. But I don't know. I guess I just really looked out and got somebody who was just wanting to get home that day. That's all I know. Because I have heard some people, they have degrees, they have bachelor's degrees. Some of them get through and get approved, and some of them don't. They're like, oh, no, you're way too educated. There's lots of things you could do.
Well, and that's the punishment. I mean, think about saying to a disabled person, you're too smart for disability benefits. You're too capable of learning other skills, applying other skills, using other computer programs. Imagine saying to somebody that you aren't worth enough to the disability marketplace because your worth in the capitalism marketplace is too high.
Right.
Imagine telling that person who's sitting there with, extreme depression, severe anxiety, degenerative disc disease, can't move their hands, can't use their toes. Imagine telling that person that just because they have a higher intellectual quotient and they have a higher education because they worked higher skilled jobs, that they need to get back out there while somebody who has a lower IQ, who worked lesser jobs, can get onto the benefit train. Imagine the psychological effect that has on a smart person, a far greater one because their brain is going at a faster and deeper speed.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I don't mean to keep you. I know this, I've ran on a long time, but I really appreciate you, Walter, answering my call, and you are a wealth of information, and I love your channel.
Thank you, madam. You have a wonderful, wonderful night, okay? Yeah.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Alrighty, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and end the phone calls there. Are there any quick questions that you want me to answer specifically in the chat section? I see a lot of familiar faces. Cincinnati Fireball, Mr. Rooster. I see Charlie T. Julie. Howdy. Let's see. Very good. I mean, I see a bunch of you guys. Richard West. There you are. Very good. By the way, I was reading Richard West. I was reading whatchamacallit, the stuff that you sent me on the phone. But you got to catch back up with me at some point on that. But let's see, Mo to Mo. I'm just going to answer a couple questions. Just catch up with me on Thursday. I'll be here Thursday, so no biggie. Anyways, thank you, Jim Tillapaw. Am I pronouncing it right? Tillapaw. Thank you. That's such a cool name, Tillapaw. Mr. Oh God, that's such a cool name. You could have that would be like an assassin's name, James Tillapaw. Oh, get me a stylish suit. Oh, that would be I'm gonna write a script, and that person's gonna hurt a lot of people, but I'm gonna write that script. So, anyways, thank you for the $4.99 donation. I absolutely love that last name. That name is very cool. That's such an incredible name. That's a James Bondy name, Jim Tillapaw. That's so good. Anyways, let me see if there's any other questions. CPSC qualify. It can qualify. Let's see if Velocity Banking is legit. Velocity Banking. I'd have to check that out. Email me about that. I'll check it out. Let's see what else. Okay, good. So, guys, I will catch you guys a little bit later. Please have a wonderful, wonderful night. Please take care of yourself. Okay, and also with that said, please remember to like, please remember to subscribe, please remember to click the all button. And what I really, really like, what would really help me out is if you can go to Google and type in disability resolution over there, and disability resolution law firm, disability resolution Florida, and throw some stars up. If I helped you tonight, please consider that. Just throwing some stars up there. I will catch you later. Have a wonderful, wonderful night, and we will go from there. Thank you so much, and I may go grab a burger. And remember, Wednesdays I work with the homeless at the homeless office. So if you call the law firm, you won't get me on Wednesdays, but Thursdays you will. All right, I'll catch you a little bit later. Have a wonderful night. Thank you so much, everybody. All right, bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.